Here we go, it's time for the top 25 plays of 2023-24. We begin at number 25 with 25. 25 kills recorded by Christina Marcin in the volleyball's 3-1 win against Washington College. The 25 kills the most by a mule in one match since 2004. At number 24, men's wrestling's Parise against the defending Division III Wrestler of the Week, ranked 7th in Division III, Parise trailing 8-6 in the waning seconds, scores the 6-point move, 3 for the takedown, 3 for the near fall, to pull off the 12-8 upset.
Attaboy, Paul!
At number 23, Griffin Zobel is at the end of most alphabetical lists. He's at number 23 on this list after blocking this extra point against Moravian and returning it 90 yards for a defensive extra point, the first for the Mules since 2004. At number 22, Taylan Akdag scored a hat-trick in the men's soccer 5-1 win against Gettysburg. It was the Mules' first hat-trick at home since 2008, and the Mules' first hat-trick against Gettysburg since 1969. At number 21, maybe the craziest game of the year in any sport, the Muhlenberg softball team came from behind 6 times to defeat McDaniel. Jillian Zach with an RBI triple in the bottom of the 11th to tie the game at 12-12. In the bottom of the 12th, it's Dani Roban with an RBI double to tie the game at 13-13. And then in the bottom of the 13th, Lillie Teague with the walk-off single. Kaya Mahy will stomp on home plate. The Mules win 14-13 in 13 innings, the second longest game in program history. And at number 20, it's another walk-off. In the 7th game of his career, freshman Chase Kusko scores the game-winning goal in overtime against Colorado College.
Muhlenberg College walks it off in overtime as the Mules pick up their...
And that was impressive for Kusko in the 7th game of his career. And in the 3rd game of his career, freshman Marc Quarrie hit this 3-run homer in the top of the 9th inning to break a 3-3 tie with Eastern. The Mules win 6-5. Quarrie would go on to hit another 9th inning game-winning home run at Ursinus and finished with 5 home runs, the most by a Mule freshman since 1998. And in the 3rd game of his career, how about a game-winning goal in the 1st game of your career? Freshman Ivy DiEsso against Elizabethtown in the women's soccer season opener scores this goal with 1:42 remaining to give the Mules a 2-1 win. At number 17, Avery McNulty won the high jump at the Centennial Conference both indoors and outdoors. Indoors, she tied a school record of 5 feet 5 inches. She also won gold at the indoor regional meet. At number 16, we'll start with these 2 dunks by Brandon Goldberg for the men's basketball team, but the best dunk of the year was by freshman Michael Feroci, this ferocious dunk in the win against Dickinson. At number 15, women's basketball, at Ursinus, Mules trailing 49-48, and it's Ava Connolly hitting this game-winning jumper with 0.8 of a second remaining. The Mules win 50-49. At number 14, women's lacrosse at Ursinus, the Mules trailed by 6 goals in the second half, but goals by Grace King, Ava Milia, and Nicole Steiner in the last 7.5 minutes gave the Mules a 14-13 lead. But the game was not secure until the final 20 seconds, when junior Ellison Ervin made this incredible save of a point-blank shot to preserve the Mules' 14-13 win, a key in them earning a home Centennial Conference playoff game. At number 13, field hockey goalie Grace Leard stopping this penalty stroke in a game against Misericordia. In the Mules' next game against Gettysburg, she saves another penalty stroke. And could she make it 3 in a row? Incredibly, she did. In the Mules' next game at Ursinus, Leard stops yet another penalty stroke. At number 12, the 2023-24 school year saw the debut of a hammer cage on Muhlenberg's campus, and the Mules swept the Hammers at the Centennial Conference Track and Field Championships. For the women, Faith Fezenko with a school record throw of 158.10, and for the men, Dylan DeMagistris, who also won the gold medal in the weight throw at the Centennial Conference Indoor Championships, unleashing this school record, conference record, and meet record throw of 186 feet 2 inches. At number 11, pitching in the second game of a doubleheader at Kings, it's junior Justine Bergara throwing the Mules' first 7-inning no-hitter since 2013. Bergara allowed only 1 base runner in the game and allowed only 1 ball to be hit out of the infield. She struck out 9 as the Mules defeated Kings 5-0. Moving into the top 10, and at number 10, It's the two champions crowned by the Mules at the Centennial Conference Wrestling Championships. First at 133, it was junior Frank DiEsso winning his first career Centennial Conference title, and just in time for Valentine's Day, he showed his love after finishing off the bout. And at 125, it was Joey Lamparelli winning his second consecutive championship. He also had a hand signal showing off career title number 2.
Held her ground. Nowhere to go for Milia. Good defense by Stankowski. Up top, Kubikowski. Shot! Game over!
That was Jillian Kubikowski scoring the game-winning goal with 2:02 left in overtime in the women's lacrosse big 8-7 win at Swarthmore, the Mules' first overtime win on the road since 2014. At number 8, Centennial Conference Outdoor Track and Field Championships, the 4x100 relay, Isaac Schaffer-Neith and Christopher Short getting started for the Mules, then a sensational third leg by freshman Bryce Rhodeman. And coming down the final straightaway, it's Joshua Castro bringing home the gold for the Mules in a school record and meet record time of 41:90. It was one of 5 events in which Castro placed during the Centennial Conference Championships. At number 7, it's our Centennial Conference Athletes of the Year, Volleyball Defensive Player of the Year Alyssa Faville, who ranked 16th in Division III in digs per game and set a school record with her career average of 5.55 digs per game. Football Offensive Player of the Year Joe Rapetti was responsible for 48 of the Mules' 58 offensive touchdowns, 40 passing, and 8 rushing. He led the team in both categories.
It is a Muhlenberg touchdown.
And Softball Player of the Year Sophia Cicchetti, who at 4:52 set school records for hits and runs scored and set a Centennial Conference record with 47 stolen bases, and her batting ability and speed were both on display here in this inside the park Grand Slam home run. At number 6, men's lacrosse freshman Jack Bill, in just the second game of his career, scored this winning goal with 18 seconds remaining to give the Mules an 8-7 win versus Clarkson.
Pass inside, quick shot, goal, and that'll do it. Jack Bill.
And that was Bill later in the season, scoring 40 seconds into overtime to give the Mules a 12-11 upset at 15th ranked Gettysburg. At number 5, Noel House won his 3rd straight Centennial Conference gold in the javelin. He also went on to the NCAA Championships, where he became an All-American by finishing in 8th place with a season-best throw of 202 feet and 10 inches. At number 4, Centennial Conference softball semifinal game, Mules trailing Swarthmore 5-4 in the 5th inning before Kaya Mahy hits this 2-run home run to give the Mules a 6-5 lead.
2-run blast for Mahy.
Very next batter, very next pitch, it's Jillian Zach hitting a home run to give the Mules a 7-5 lead, back-to-back home runs on back-to-back pitches.
Back-to-back homers for the Mules.
You can say that again. At number 3, when they did Plays of the Year in 1916, were sure Ben Hubbard's long jump of 22.7 ranked high on the list, but did they know it would last for 108 years? Until John Reichenbach jumped 23.11 to set a school record. He also set a school record in the high jump at 6'10.5". He won both at the Centennial Conference Championships. He was named Outstanding Field Performer, Centennial Conference Field Athlete of the Year, and he was an All-American in the high jump. At number 2, Centennial Conference semifinal men's soccer game, 7:07 remaining, and it's Evan Schlotterbeck heading in this corner kick for his first career goal. The Mules defeated Franklin and Marshall, who was ranked 8th in Division III, 2-1, and advanced to the Centennial Conference Championship game. And that brings us to the number 1 play of the year. We thought about this touchdown catch by James Nye, on which he broke several tackles en route to a 70-yard touchdown against Ursinus. Then there was the 7-yard touchdown catch against Franklin and Marshall, which ended the Mules' double overtime 48-45 win. But that wasn't even Nye's best catch of the game. His best catch of the game and our number 1 play of the year, this 18-yard reception in the first quarter of that game, Nye going up and catching the ball one-handed. And that is our number 1 play of the year. Thank you for watching Plays of the Week all year and for watching our two-part Plays of the Year special. Mark your calendars for Tuesday, September 3rd and the first Plays of the Week of 24-25. Have a great summer and go Mules!